working now. Sorry to have a slightly delayed start to this English lesson. We'll know in a moment if it's actually working. I did click the go live button. So it should be live. You might have to hit refresh on your screen. We'll see here. Might have to refresh your screens. I just started a couple minutes late. Refresh if you don't see the lesson. Oh, little typo on don't there. There we go. Hopefully everybody's here and can see me now. Let me just wait a sec. I'll just wait to see in the chat that everything is working properly, and then we will get this English lesson started. I see Freddie saying everything is working completely, Bob. There we go. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about compound words in the countryside. So as I was making this lesson, I was choosing compound words that I liked because they were compound words that I see around my property. And if you don't know what a compound word is, it's when we put two words together to make a new word, like fence post. You'll see one in this picture, and you'll see one right here as well. So in this English lesson, we'll look at about 30 different compound words that you'll see in the countryside. So as I walk around my property, or as you walk around the countryside, you will see most of these words. So again, a compound word, two English words that we put together. These are considered closed compound words. There's no space or hyphen, but just one new word, and sometimes a slightly different meaning based on the meaning of the two words used to make it. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about compound words in the countryside. Hey, sorry for a little bit of a delay there. I'm not sure what happened. I was a little nervous because I clicked the start button and then I started to get drop frames and errors, but I didn't want to stop the stream and start it again because I wasn't sure what would happen if I did that. But it seems like everything is working well now. Yes, sir. Okay, hi to Freddie, Mode, Key Park, Alexander, Pedro, Know That, American English with Brent is here, Gabby, Wonderland, Torahiki, Mr. Fisheri. Scrolling down, did I say hi to Know That already? Probably. Cecilia Romeo is here. Very good to see you, Cecilia. A familiar face. Mr. Fisheri. Scrolling back, we have Freddie Wolf, Key Park, Uliana, Unabi, Pedro Santos, Wanda Prado. There are a lot of familiar people here today. Aerosmith77, also known as Judith. If I missed your name, hello, Unsel. If I missed your name, sorry about that, because we're here mostly to learn English. But saying hi is nice as well. But I can't spend the whole lesson just saying hi to people. But I will say hi to Fabian, Aditya student, Just Learn. Burgett is here as well. And then some good news. Canada won yesterday. So I'm in a good mood. Hi, Ralph. Thanks for saying smash the like button. It was wonderful. I was home. I was done all my work for the day. I watched the game with my kids. Jen was at market, so we did feel a little bad, but she did get to see the ending. And it was fun. Canada won 6-0. Like, great. So they're at the top of the group stage right now. So very, very fun. Anyways, welcome to this English lesson about compound words. Let's get this lesson started. I think we should. Mode says the solar panels are to blame for the error at the start. Maybe there's some kind of interference possibly. But yeah, this whole lesson, the internet connection, all my computers, all my lights, everything is running off stored solar energy from batteries. And in about an hour, when the sun hits the panels, everything will be running off solar. And it's been kind of a fun little project. Okay, here we go. Let me stop talking. I need to click over here. And I need to just do one more check to make sure it's working. There we go. As I look at myself on the screen, I feel like I'm looking a little scruffy. I better shave and get a haircut before graduation next week. I want to look prim and proper. That's not the official term, but I want to look a little less scruffy than this. I should have shaved for this lesson this morning, but that's okay. Okay, what did I say? Start the lesson. Yes, because I have to go. I'm not in a rush, but I have to be done at 9:30. So here we go. Fence post. So this is the inspiration for the lesson. I was walking along outside beside my house, close to the field, and there is a fence post there. And I thought, oh, I should do a lesson on compound words like fence post. So a fence post is a vertical post that supports a fence. Now, a fence is something you build around a pasture or field to keep animals in, to keep livestock in, like cows or sheep or goats. And a fence has posts. So post is anything like a wooden, I was going to say log, but a piece of wood in the ground vertically is a post. When it's part of a fence, we call it a fence post. So there's your first word and the inspiration for this lesson. A fence post, a vertical post that supports a fence. Or it also supports Bob, as you can see here as I lean on the fence post. Rainstorm. This has also been happening around here and is also the inspiration for this lesson. You can have different kinds of storms. The generic or general term is storm. But when a storm brings a lot of rain, we might simply call it a rainstorm, a period of heavy rain. This is not my field, but this is what my field did look like a couple days ago. We've actually been getting too many rainstorms. I wish we would just get a few sunny days in a row right now. Today looks like it will be sunny. And now I have two problems when we have too many rainstorms. I don't generate enough solar power and the field gets too wet. But anyways, a rainstorm, a period of heavy rain. We also have a thunderstorm, a storm with thunder, lightning, and usually rain. Now, a thunderstorm doesn't need to bring rain. That's why it says usually rain. But usually, most of the time, a thunderstorm has lots of lightning. So like, zzz, zzz. I'm sure lightning doesn't sound like that. And then boom, 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 you'll have thunder. So I actually really enjoy thunderstorms. One of my favorite things to do is to open the garage door and stand in the garage and watch a thunderstorm roll in. So thunderstorm, another type of storm with thunder, lightning, and usually rain. Now you might be wondering what's the difference between a rainstorm and a thunderstorm. A rainstorm doesn't usually have any thunder or lightning. Sometimes it just rains, but a thunderstorm definitely does. Raindrop. By the way, the whole lesson isn't about rain. I think I just have two more. Raindrop, a small drop of water that falls from a cloud, from the sky, however you want to describe it. And they're very tiny, and lots of them fall at the same time. And if you don't have an umbrella, they make you very, very wet. So a raindrop, a small drop of water that falls from a cloud. Rainbow, an arc of colors in the sky when it is sunny and rainy at the same time. So the first definition I looked up for rainbow said, basically, it's an arc in the sky when it's raining. And I thought, well, that's not totally true. It needs to be raining, but there also needs to be some sunlight hitting the rain. And that's what causes the rainbow. So again, I'm forgetting to mention why these are compound words. Thunder and storm are put together. Rain and drop are put together to form a new word. And then rain and bow. A bow can be like, I don't have my bow and arrow here, but anything that's an arc can sometimes be called a bow as well. So a rainbow, an arc of colors in the sky when it is sunny and rainy at the same time. And then raincoat. Again, the lesson isn't all about rain compound words. This is the last one. Raincoat, a coat that helps keep you dry in the rain. So I can wear a nice coat to work. I can wear a spring coat. I can wear a winter coat. But a raincoat is a special kind of coat where we take the word rain and the word coat, put them together, and then we have something that keeps you dry when it is raining. And usually they're yellow. I'm not sure if they are in your country, but in Canada, for some reason, our raincoats, okay, they aren't all yellow, but a lot of them are yellow. When I think of raincoat, this is what I think of. Usually people wearing raincoats aren't as happy as this person though. Usually they're kind of grouchy because raincoats can be kind of warm as well. Okay, hey, let's do some questions real quick here. Doesn't look like there's okay. I just have to slow down. I don't have to do this lesson real quick. I just need to keep a nice pace. So here we go. From Unsel. Hi, Mr. Bob. No questions today. I love the scenery in the thumbnail, but honestly, I'm a little jealous of that fence post. You look like old friends. Thanks. You're awesome. Bye. So it is a classic scene in the countryside to see two farmers standing and talking, and one of them leaning on a fence post or leaning on a pickup truck or leaning on the big back wheel of a tractor. All of those things are pretty common sights in the countryside. Fence posts are just about the right height. In the chat, Abdulaziz says, I'm from Qatar and we lost from Canada yesterday 6-0. I'm thinking but about unsubscribing from Bob's channel. I have great respect for your team, but I am happy that we won. Okay, that's all I will say. Let's see here. From Know That. Hello, Bob. Why are some compound words written as one word while others are written separately or hyphenated? Is there some kind of rule for this? Thanks. To my knowledge, there is no rule. So all of the ones I'm teaching today are considered closed, which means there's no space. If they're open compound words, there's a space. And if they're hyphenated, there's a hyphen between them. So I don't know exactly why. I would need to do a little bit of research about that. But as far as I know, there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's a good English phrase for you. When there's no rhyme or reason to something, it means there are no rules. So, but I would have to look that up. From Unabi, hi, Mr. Bob. Is there any real difference between countryside and suburb if they both located close to the big city? Thanks. Yes. So countryside is the area around, far from a city, where you'll find lots of farms and farmhouses. That's another word that's coming up. A suburb is a group of houses close to a city, usually just on the outskirts of a city or even part of the city itself. So when you're in the countryside, you will see houses that are 1 kilometer apart, and there's usually a farm or barn on the property. When you are in a suburb, there's usually houses every 60 feet or every 20 meters. I'm trying to do my metric here. But yes, Brent in the chat says rules in English, no such thing. Even if we have a rule, we break it from time to time. Yes, we do definitely do that. Freddie says, I wish we could have some rain in France. Currently, we're experiencing very high temperatures, 38 degrees. That's too warm. That is very, very, very warm. Okay, next question here. Thanks, Unabi, for that question. Judith, hi, Bob. Which is your most often chosen used compound word? Thank you. Sorry. I'll type it in the chat. How about we do that? Because I like, sometimes I say, this is not a good word. I'm trying to type it so that I use characters instead of, here we go. No, I can't. Sorry, I'm making myself laugh. There, you'll have to puzzle through that one. So that is a compound word because you have the animal, the bull, and then you have the bull eats, and then eventually stuff comes out the other end. So that is a word that you will quite often hear. We often just say BS. Okay, that's the nicer version. That's BS. But I will say the word one time so you know what I'm talking about. We sometimes use the word bullshit. It's not a nice word. It's a kind of a weird word. It's not a swear word, but it's definitely not something you would use formally. But that is a word that you sometimes will hear me say. From Michaela, hello, Bob. Are there wheat fields near where you live? Are there poppies? There are no poppies, but there are wheat fields. And currently the wheat fields are green. And I can just start to see, they're just starting to turn a golden yellow, golden color. So that's happening right now. This is from Water. Do you like water? I think this is Water is having what's called a bit of a identity crisis and hoping that people do like them. I do like water, just so you know. I like water a lot. It's very enjoyable to have a glass of water, especially on a hot day. Judith. Hi, Bob. Rule breaking. Do you know a compound word which is not one word? Thanks. No, but I had a list yesterday. Oh, there's one in this lesson. I had to add one. Dirt road. I thought was one word and it wasn't. So even I don't always know which is which. I had to check that one. Water says, please drink water. Thanks. I will do that. I'll have another sip before we get back to the lesson. So here we go. Okay. That's the last question from the form. We will now get back to the lesson. Sunflower, a tall plant with a large yellow flower. This is one of the situations where I will teach the phrase to not do something justice. The definition of sunflower doesn't do justice to the beauty of the actual flower. When something doesn't do justice to something, it doesn't explain it well or describe it well, or it's like it just, that is the description right there. A tall plant with a large yellow flower. But sunflowers are much more beautiful than that definition. So why do we have a compound word? Because it is a flower, and it also very much likes the sun. If you don't know, sunflowers will actually they'll track the sun a little bit, at least until they're a certain age. But a sunflower, a tall plant with a large yellow flower. As opposed to a wildflower. A wildflower is a flower that grows naturally without being planted. So sunflowers are often planted by farmers. Wildflowers just happen to be there. So when you go out to a meadow or a pasture, those are large green spaces. There might be areas where there are wildflowers, plants that have grown, and when they are mature and they bloom, they have a beautiful flower. Sometimes at market, people think Jen has wildflower bouquets because she puts all kinds of fun flowers in them, but they aren't technically wildflower bouquets. She has grown the flowers in rows in her flower garden. So wildflower, a flower that grows naturally without being planted. Birdhouse, let's make this one really big. Birdhouse, a small house where birds can nest. So when you get some wood and you build something like this, this is a small, tiny house, and it is for a bird to live in. So we call it a birdhouse. It has a little hole in the front that works as the door, or is it a window? I guess it's the door because the bird goes in and out. But sometimes the bird looks out of the hole, then it's kind of a window. Anyways, I'm taking too long to describe some of these things. A birdhouse, a small house where birds can nest. Mailbox. So if you live in the countryside, your mailbox might look a lot different than if you live in the city. I have a mailbox like this. Mine doesn't look like a chicken though, but a mailbox is a container where mail is delivered. So if you look at the bottom here, you'll notice that the mailbox is sitting on a post. We wouldn't call this a fence post because it's not part of a fence. We would just call it a post. And then on top, we have the mailbox, a container where mail is delivered. You know, your mail can also get picked up though. You see the little flag on the side? So when we have mail, the mail delivery person will put the flag up. And if I want to send a letter, I put it in the mailbox and I put the flag up so that the mail person knows that they need to pick up the mail. But mailbox, a container where mail is delivered or picked up. Firefly. So I don't know if you have these in your country, but we have fireflies. If you go out at night, especially in June and July, you will see these little bugs or insects flying around and they will light up. And it's really cool. So a firefly is an insect that produces light from its body. So it kind of looks like a fly, which is a type of insect, and it kind of looks like it's on fire. So a long time ago, someone decided we will call this a firefly. Basically a fly that looks a little bit like it's on fire. And by the way, fireflies are really cool. That they're just fun. Uh, is there an Owl City song about fireflies? I think there might be. Um, Anyways, firefly, an insect that produces light from its body. Farmhouse, a house on a farm where people live. So technically, the house I live in is a farmhouse. My neighbors, who are also farmers, they have dairy cows, so they milk cows. They don't steer, they milk. They don't do it by hand, though. They have a machine that they put on. They live in a farmhouse. So you don't have to use this term, but it is pretty common when referring to a place in the countryside. Like, oh, we bought a small farm and the farmhouse is beautiful. So it's simply the house on the farm where the farmers live with their kids, if they have kids. So farmhouse, a house on a farm where people live. Greenhouse. So a greenhouse is a building made of glass or plastic used to grow plants. And it looks like this. Can't remember which way to point this morning. And you might be wondering though, like farmhouse made sense. There's a farm, there's a house. Let's make a new word, farmhouse. But greenhouse, how does that make sense? It's not green. Well, I think the word green comes from the plants that are inside of it. And the word house just comes from a general building where the plants can live. So when you see a greenhouse, it's a compound word made of the word green and house. Green refers to the green plants on the inside, and house refers to a building that you can live in. In this case, the plants are living in the greenhouse. So greenhouse, a building made of plastic. Let me see if I can point the right way. A building made of plastic, glass or plastic used to grow plants. Barnyard, the area around a barn where farm animals often stay. So a barn is like, I've done this for, how many years have I done these lessons? And today I forget which way to point. A barn is like this large red building. A barn is a large building where you can have animals, livestock, as I mentioned, cows, pigs, sheep, goats, chickens. They can live in a barn. And a yard is an area around a house. But when you have an area around a barn, we've made a new word called barnyard. So the barnyard is the area around a barn where farm animals often stay. And you might even see a farmer with his pickup truck, leaning on the pickup truck, talking to their neighbor. And both of them probably live in a farmhouse. So barnyard, the area around a barn where farm animals often stay. Windmill, a structure with large blades that turn in the wind. So the word mill is a little strange here, but wind obviously is like, if you go outside, you can hear and feel the wind. A mill is a place where they grind grain. So if you take wheat at a mill, they will grind the grain into flour. They will grind barley into flour. They will grind rye into flour. They'll do that at a mill. So I think a long time ago, they started to use the wind to turn the grindstone at the mill. And that's probably where the phrase windmill came from. Windmill, a structure with large blades that turn in the wind. This windmill, though, might be used to pump water. Or in our case, we have a windmill that pumps air into our pond to keep the water fresh. Firewood, wood that is used as fuel for a fire. So if you ever see wood like this, I'm going to have to put a post-it note on my monitor telling me, point away, and you will, it's flipped. I don't know if you know that, but like everything is, anyways, let me stop talking about pointing the wrong way. Firewood, wood that is used as fuel for a fire. If you ever see wood that is chopped like this, we say this is split. This wood has been split, and this is firewood. This is not wood that is going to be used to build a house. This wood is not going to be used to make a birdhouse, for instance. This wood is not going to be used to build a farmhouse. This is firewood. Wood that is used as fuel for a fire, maybe in a fireplace, maybe in a wood stove. I think that's a compound word with no space, like a closed wood stove, or maybe for a campfire. There you go. some extra compound words: wood stove and campfire. Woodpile, a stack of firewood stored for future use. Now, this is interesting. When you say woodpile to me, I think about this. I think about a stack of firewood ready to be used for fuel. If you have a stack of wood that you're going to use to build something, I would actually call it a pile of wood. And I don't know if everyone who speaks English would have that distinction, but if you said wood pile, I would think firewood. If you said I have a pile of wood behind my house, I would think you have boards and planks that you're going to use to build something. But maybe that's just me, and maybe that's just in my local area. Footpath, a small path made for people to walk on. So this is not a dirt road or laneway. This is definitely a footpath. You can tell because it looks like there's just room for 1 or 2 people to walk here. Generally, a footpath is made naturally when people continually walk down the same path. Eventually, the grass stops growing. Eventually, the plants stop growing. And eventually, you have what's called a footpath. We have a few on our farm, places where we walk. I know Jen's dad has one from his farmhouse to the barnyard, just so you know. Yes, there we go. I used 2 words properly because every day he walks a couple of times down that path. So a footpath, a small path made for people to walk on. Laneway, a road or driveway connecting a rural property to a main road. So I would call what I drive on from my house to get to the road, I would either call it a laneway or a driveway. Both are totally correct. It's not owned by the city or the government or the township. I own it. So it's kind of a private road or driveway connecting my farmhouse to the road. However, a dirt road is a road made of dirt or gravel. Now, this is owned and maintained by the government. So that's the difference. I have a laneway. I own it. It's a spot where I can drive my car to get to the road. Mine looks a little nicer than this, though. And a dirt road is just a road. Instead of being paved, the dirt road is made from dirt or gravel. And if you don't know, gravel is really, really small stones. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll do members only chat. Here we go. Hillside, the sloping side of a hill. So again, when we're talking about compound words, you have a hill and it's the one side of the hill. So we call it the hillside. We put the 2 words together. This hillside is it's a very gentle slope. It's not steep. It's a very gentle slope. Gentle enough that looks like the farmer has cut hay and is probably getting ready to bale the hay. But a hillside, the sloping side of a hill. Farmland, land used to grow crops or raising animals. When you drive outside of the city, eventually you will see farmland. You will see large fields like these fields. There might even be some bales of straw or hay. There will be crops growing. There will be a few laneways along the way that allow you to drive to the farmer's farmhouse. But anyways, farmland, land used for growing crops or raising animals. Hey, we're going to do questions. Let me go to full display. Let me turn on members only chat for the members. Here is the button. I'm going to ask YouTube, they should just make a really big button, like one single button. Really easy to access to turn on members only chat. If you are a member, thank you. I appreciate it. If you are not a member, there is a join button or a subscribe plus button. If you click it, you'll get an explanation as to what you get as a member. But I'll tell you right now as well, you get a lesson plan on Monday that you can read. You can learn a bit more about me. I will challenge you to do certain things through the week to improve your English. Number 2, you get an extra lesson on Wednesdays, most Wednesdays. Not this past Wednesday, though. Bob was busy. Bib was supposed to do it, but he didn't have time either. Anyways, you get an extra video on Wednesdays. You get your name in green during live streams. You get to participate in members only chat, and you also get a crown by your name. But let's Let's look at a few questions in the chat, and then I'll look at some questions from the forum as well. From Know That, hey Bob, what are you up to today or over the weekend? Do you have anything special planned? A heartfelt thank you, sir. So here's the plan today. I do have to go to work, but all of my exams have been written and I have graded all my exams, but I do have just a few little things to take care of yet. So I have a few little things to take care of at work. So I'm just going to go in for a couple hours and kind of close out the semester. I also have to give my mom got invited to another birthday party, an 80th birthday party for another aunt. So I have to bring her to that this weekend as well. And then I'm invited to stay, but I'm not sure I'm going to know. I know it's my aunt as well, but it's mostly her side of the family, so I won't know a lot of people. So hopefully there's a couple people there I know. From Mr. Frascieri, my late father would go, hey, every time we passed bales of hay. Yes, it's a common joke. And then people often say too, well, you got to make hay while the sun shines. From Mode, give this gentleman a thumbs up. There you go. 2 compound words. Gentleman, yes. I'm a very calm person, very refined, and yes, I'm talking about the word gentle, and I'm also a man, that's for sure. From Wanda, hi teacher Bob, is cauliflower considered a compound word? Thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend. I wonder if technically it is, but the word collie is not a normal recognizable English word for me. So I'm going to say, in my opinion, probably not. But yeah, it has the look, doesn't it? Because it has flower. So I'm going to say probably not, but maybe it is. Fabian, hi, dear amazing teacher Bob. What do you think about making a lesson related to world sports tournaments? I could do that because we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have the Women's World Cup. I'd have to think through. There's probably some sort of rugby or Australian football. Yes, maybe. I'm not a huge sports guy until Canada has a team, and then I am. From Fabian, another one. Are you following the FIFA World Cup? Yes. So just so you know, I love all of your countries, but I have only watched Canada. I watched a little bit of the game where the Netherlands was playing. I watched a little bit of the game where France was playing, because those are the 2 teams I'm also cheering for. So sorry if I'm not cheering for your team. Let's see here. Freddie, Bob, no questions so far. Just listening and appreciating your compound words lesson. You are, I'm glad you're here. I'm happy you're appreciating it. Know that. How did the market go yesterday? Jen did well. The weather here is beautiful. It does rain a lot, but when it isn't raining, it's only 20 or 22 degrees and sunny. So that's today as well. So at market, there was no rain. Rain is bad at market. If it rains at market, customers don't come. So it went really well. We're very happy. I hope you and Jen had a great time there and that your sales went well. Yes, I didn't go. So yesterday I stayed home. Well, I went to work. I gave an exam. I came home. I graded the exam. I basically just worked on this lesson and school stuff till about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then I watched the soccer game, football game, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to argue about soccer and football. From Judith, which wildflower is your favorite with a compound name? I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but what is your favorite flower? I would say the one that I like, peonies. I was going to say the one that makes us the most money. That is not a good reason to like flowers. I like peonies. They smell nice and they look beautiful. From Lily, should a fence post be with a fence or can it be freestanding? It can if it was originally part of a fence. Okay, so it does have to, like you could say, oh, there's no fence there anymore, but I see there's a fence post. If it's freestanding, it might be difficult to get whether it is part of the fence, advertising, or something. So I would just use the word post. That's the safer way to do it. From Pedro, hey Bob, do you and Jen use scarecrows on the property? Congratulations to Canada on yesterday's win. Well, thanks for the congrats. We do not have a problem with birds. If we did, we would build a scarecrow. So the word scarecrow is a compound word based on the verb to scare. You want to frighten the birds. And a crow is a very common type of bird that will eat crops. So you build something to scare the crows away. Now it's just a general term to scare birds. Okay. From Brent, you didn't watch the US. You got a chance to today at 3. Just saying. I'll see what I can do. The relationship between Canada and the US is warming up. We're going to be best buddies again soon, and then I will watch your sports team. No, I haven't watched the US, but I do. That was a joke, by the way. I do want to watch them. Today might not work. Yeah, it might actually. We'll see. Fabian, do you follow the Major League Baseball? Supporting the LA Dodgers. I do follow Major League Baseball. I support the Toronto Blue Jays. We watched them. Sorry, Brent. We watched them defeat Boston 3 games straight. And Jen mentioned, though, Brent, she would really like, not this summer, but I think next summer, we would really like to go to Boston and see a game. So maybe we should all 4 of us go together. Pedro says, Canada is almost qualified to the next stage. Yes. Bridget says, Bob, it's the best growing weather for the plants. For sure. Know that. Now that your summer break is right around the corner, Bob, what are your final plans? I mean, besides working on the farm, sleeping in, and recharging your batteries, there is a huge list, know that, of little fix-it jobs that I didn't do last summer because of my injury. So that is the first thing I'm going to do. The downstairs sink needs to be fixed in the barn or in the house. The sink in the barn needs to be fixed. I have a access point I need to mount on the side. There's a whole list. That is what I'm going to start with. We'll go from there. Mr. Fishieri says to Brent, when Bob said, I love all of your countries, that was like a statement from a politician. No, it is, eh? Very much so. Ralph, thank you so much for giving 5 memberships. If you are one of the 5 people that just received a free membership from Ralph, you should say thank you to Ralph. And you can also go to the members only section of this YouTube channel and you will see all of the members only posts. Brent says, I honestly haven't watched the US either. Their only game was on after my bedtime. You know, it is nice. Most of the games are like usually the World Cup for people in North America is in a part of the world where the time change or the time difference makes it hard to watch games. This is the first World Cup where it's quite easy to watch a game. Brent says, yeah, Fenway is an amazing stadium. Tickets are super cheap now because we are so bad. That's what happens when your team does badly. The ticket prices go down. Freddie says the French soccer team just played in the second part of the game. I don't know where they were in the first part. Nevertheless, we eventually won 3-1 UP. Mbappe. I just like saying his name. Mode. Let's say you were having bone-in chicken. What verb would you use for separating the meat from the bone? To debone, to carve? So if you are preparing a chicken for other people to eat, you will debone the chicken. If you're sitting at a meal eating it and it has bones in it, you wouldn't use, I don't think you would say, I'm going to debone this chicken before I eat it. You would probably just say you're going to take the bones out. So it's kind of weird. But that's how I would use it. Sorry, this is off topic, and I've been meaning to ask this for a couple of months, but my forgetfulness, derriere, kept forgetting every week. Yeah, so again, if I cook a whole chicken, there's a good chance Jen or I will debone the chicken before we serve the meat to our kids or have it for supper. But when I'm sitting at a table eating a piece of chicken, I'll just say, oh, it's bone in. Okay. And then I will just eat it. I wouldn't use the verb debone if I'm the one eating the chicken and taking the bones out. Kind of a weird distinction there. Key Park, I just had an idea. You and Jen could make a video or live lesson talking about names of flowers. Is it okay? We've thought of this, but we're not sure it would actually get a lot of views, although flowers are beautiful and people do like looking at them. Yes, we'll see. Thanks for the suggestion. We'll see what we can do. Okay, I'm going to finish the lesson off. Let me turn off members only chat for a moment. And then we will finish this off. I will get the lesson done. I might not get to all the questions at the end though. We'll see. What is it? 9/11? I think we'll be okay. Woodland, an area of land covered with trees. Now notice the way I said that. I don't think I was practicing these words yesterday. That farm has some woodland at the back. I don't say woodland, I say woodland. There's a woodland area at the back, or there's some woodland at the back. So it is kind of a quick, you kind of flip through the word very quickly, but it is an area of land covered with trees. Jen and I have a little bit of woodland at the back. Sometimes people will also say woodlot, which is like used to reference a group of trees, usually on a farm where the farmer might go to get firewood for the farmhouse. But woodland, an area of land covered with trees. Wetland, an area of land that is often covered with water. So this is different than a river or lake or stream or pond. A wetland usually has water somewhere, maybe a lot of water, maybe a little. Maybe in the spring, a wetland has a lot of water. And then in the middle of the summer, it goes down a bit and there's a little bit more like land. But it's definitely an area like this, where you can see that there is some land, there is some stuff growing, but there is also water. But it doesn't really look like a river. It looks like what we would call standing water. So, wetland, an area of land that is often covered with water. Doghouse, a small shelter where a dog can sleep or rest. Walter does not have a doghouse. Oscar did have a doghouse, but it blew away and got damaged in a windstorm. So you might even see Oscar's doghouse. By the way, someone did ask earlier about why they haven't seen Oscar. If you are not all aware, Oscar did pass away in the winter. He was quite old, and now we just have Walter. But yes, Walter does not have a doghouse. It is a small shelter where a dog can sleep or rest. Dogs don't usually live, well, I guess they can live in their doghouse. But most people, honestly, most people in North America, if they have a dog, the dog probably sleeps in their garage or in a crate in their garage, or it might even sleep in their house. So most people in North America don't keep their dogs outside 24 hours a day. Usually the dog is allowed to use some part of a shed or garage or house as their permanent home. Bird bath, a shallow container of water where birds can drink or bathe. And I wanted to point out the word bathe here. When you add an E to the word bath, you get bathe. So you have a bird and it needs a bath, and you put the words together and you have bird bath. And I hope you're doing this for all of these, like dog, house, compound word, wet, land, flower, bed, an area of soil where flowers are planted. So again, you have flowers and you need a place for them to grow. For some reason, we chose the word bed, like I sleep in a bed. These flowers, well, they're not sleeping, but they're in kind of a flat area of soil. So flower bed, an area of soil where flowers are planted. By the way, we would call this a raised bed. That's not a compound word. That's just a description. Raised bed means that it's a flower bed that's off the ground. As people get older, if they like to garden, they will also often install what are called raised beds made from metal or wood so that they can easily weed and plant their flowers in a flower bed. Grasshopper, an insect with long legs that can jump very far. He's kind of hard to see. This is the color of our wheat right now, by the way. It's just starting to turn green, it's just starting to turn yellow and golden brown. But a grasshopper, it's an insect that can hop or jump, and it's often seen on grass. In this case, it's on wheat, but grasshopper, an insect with long legs that can jump very, very far. Do I need to take care of the chat? No, I think it's okay. A warning has been given to Ivan. Yeah, Ivan's going to get a little timeout. Here we go. Little 5-minute timeout for Ivan. There we go. Wow, that's a lot of... Well, you're number 2. I guess Ivan's number 2 in the chat, but that's not the goal of this. Sorry that I didn't catch that sooner. I was not looking over at the chat. Sunlight. You have the sun in the sky and light comes from it. So you make the word sunlight. Natural light that comes from the sun. Moonlight, Again, natural light or light that comes from the moon. And then starlight, light that comes from the stars in the night sky. So during the day, there's a lot of sunlight. In fact, at this time of year, I often wake up because sunlight starts coming through the window into my room. So the sun comes up, I think it starts to come up around 5:30. And so sunlight, light from the sun, comes through my window and the room starts to get bright. So sunlight, natural light that comes from the sun. Moonlight, light that comes from the moon. When the moon is full, sometimes you can even see enough outside to work a little bit. Sometimes when there's enough moonlight, Jen can work outside or at least can go to check on things or turn off an irrigation pump without needing a flashlight. And then sometimes the night sky is very clear and you can see lots of stars and you see starlight. So starlight won't make it easy for you to see, but you can see starlight in the sky. Light that comes from the stars in the night sky. By the way, it's also there during the day. You just can't see starlight during the day because the sunlight is way too bright. Hey, I totally forgot the names of the guys who used to moderate the chat. Todd the Canadian was one. Oh, I shouldn't say. Maybe someone else can mention the two people who used to moderate. There were 4, but only 2 of them did it for a few years. Let's see if anyone can remember who they are. Okay. What am I going to do here? I'm going to get a question on the screen. Just a sec. Let me go from Ralph. Questions. Here we go. Hey, Bob, great lesson. As in Germany, combining words is very common and mostly unlimited, but English is often much shorter. Would a post for a mailbox be a mailbox post? No. So German, in the German language, people got a little carried away because isn't it Friedensnobelpreisen? Is that the word for Nobel Peace Prize? For in English, Nobel Peace Prize. It's 3 different words. And I think in German it's Friedensnobelpreisen. I'm probably butchering the word. But anyways, yes, Todd and Dave, there we go. People got the right guess. So no, in English, we don't keep adding words together. It's not common at all. From Geta, Helena, hi Bob. I wonder, do you still use the usual post? I remember such box at my Graham's house too. Nowadays, I use post for the Amazon delivery and email for communicating. We still get regular mail every day. That's what we call it, regular mail. But they only really need to bring it once a week because we don't get letters or magazines or anything really anymore. Just mail from the government. The government still uses it. Someone says, Sir, Wildflower reminds me of a Billie Eilish song. Very cool. From Ivan, hi Bob, can you please tell me, can the word ghost town mean a town where ghosts live? No. Well, if you believe in ghosts, then yes. But if you don't believe in ghosts, a ghost town is simply a town that has buildings, but no one lives there anymore. In the Western United States, you can probably find ghost towns where there was a town 50 years ago or 100 years ago or longer, and now no one lives there anymore. So we call it a ghost town. But great compound word, by the way. Let's see. Wait a second. Oh, and can you say privet? That means hi. Sure. I just said it. I think in English we say privet, but it might mean like a small hedgerow or something, or we have a plant called that. Not sure about this question. What kind of vocabulary? I must save it. This is called compound. This lesson is called compound words, and mostly they are from the countryside. Takagero. Hello, dear Teacher Bob. Thank you for the new meaning of the word post. Haven't known that before. Now I know why post mail is called that. Yes, they probably had a post with a box, and that's why it's called the post. I'm not sure. Canada won. Hi, sir. Bob. Hi, Bob, sir. Did you watch the insane 6-0 victory live? Yes. But I actually started to feel bad once Qatar was down to 9 players. Like they had 2 red cards. So it was kind of a one-sided game for most of it. Paula, what is the difference between dirt road and off-road? Ah, good question. So if I go down a dirt road and then let's say I'm driving a dirt bike or a four-wheeler or an ATV, and if I go off the road, then I'm going off-roading. So off-road means you're just like, you're driving through the wilderness, kind of like. Cecilia, my favorite compound words from this lesson are sunlight, moonlight, and rainbow. Those are fun words. From Unabi, there are actually quite a lot of compound words which contain the word land. Just off the top of my head, landlord, landmark, landslide. There you go. Very nice. Judith, hi Bob, what's the difference between compound words in the countryside and in the city? Thanks. In the city, you might have something like a lamppost, a bus stop. I don't know if that's a closed or open. I'd have to check. I'll probably do another lesson in a few weeks on compound words in the city. That might be fun. Maybe I'll do that next week. That'd be fun. This was a fun lesson to build. So from Judith, our dog has a doghouse, but she goes to rest to other places. The shed close to our basement. Sip some water, please. I'm way ahead of you. I already had the water ready to go. Judith, hi Bob. There's an insect very similar to the grasshopper. It is larger and green. Do you know its name? There is something called a locust. We don't really have those in Ontario, but it looks a little bit like a grasshopper. Let's see here. Leo, hi Bob. How can I learn to speak English naturally and automatically without translating word for word in my head before I speak? Thank you. You should use the link below to Preply and go. I know I talk about Preply a lot, but it's a great place to find someone to have English conversations. The more English conversations you have with someone who will help you, the more you will speak automatically. From Fabian, I need to use sunglasses, another compound word, to watch the sunlight, but not to see the nightlight and play basketball. Hee hee, thanks dear teacher, teacher Bib. Those are 4. There's 4 compound words in there. You should have a look, see if you can find them. Hello. Food is cheaper in Canada than in the United States. So this is what we would say, it all depends on where you are. So in British Columbia, in Canada, food is quite expensive. In Ontario, food is reasonable. I would say food prices in Canada are often higher than in the United States. But again, that depends where you are. If I go to a discount grocery store in my local town, food will be cheaper than if I go to a Whole Foods in downtown New York City. So yes, in general, I think it is cheaper to live in the United States. Taxes are lower, food is a bit cheaper. But again, it really depends with food on where you go. Let's see. From Monica. Hello, Bob. How can I remember vocabulary and expressions naturally? Thank you, Bob. That's the last question. You have to use them. So this is challenging because sometimes you learn words like dirt road, which you might not ever use again. Oh, by the way, dirt road was an open compound word. I should show you that for a sec. I was supposed to mention that when I got to it. So dirt road is an open compound. There's a space between the two of them, just so you know. You need to use the words, and you need to use the words a few times, and you need to space out when you use them. Use the word today, use the word tomorrow, use the word in 5 days, use it in a month. You have to really make it part of your English learning journey. Let's see here. No, that says, thanks for the awesome lesson, Bob. It was a pleasure to spend some time with you as always. I wish you and your family a wonderful Friday and a marvelous weekend. Have a good one. Yeah, you too. I hope you have a good day. I am just going to say bye to everyone in about 4 minutes. I do have like a service truck coming to service something on our property. So I don't think he's here yet. No, but he is going to arrive soon. I have to do that before I go to work. I always seem to have a busy day. For those of you that are retired, someday when I'm retired, will I have less to do, or will I just fill my days with lots of things to do? Is that how it works? Let me know in the comments below or somewhere else. Anyways, I'm going to go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye. Have a great day. People are still chatting away. That's good. It's always nice when Brent comes because there's more chatter. Have you noticed that? He likes talking to people, which is good. English with Teacher Fernanda says, thanks for this live lesson. See you soon. Wanda says, bye, Teacher Bob. By the way, the way you thank Brent. So Brent comes, by the way, Brent doesn't come to the live stream to learn English. I don't know if you knew that. He already speaks English, and he has his own YouTube channel called American English with Brent. So if you enjoy having Brent in the chat here, the way you thank him is by going to his YouTube channel and watching some of his lessons and subscribing, okay? I appreciate Brent in the chat here. I don't know if you've noticed, he pops in, he chats with people. He knows quite a few of you after doing this for a few years. Your thank you should be, hey, I enjoyed having an English native speaker in the chat. I will go watch some of Brent's videos and help him out on his channel. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. You guys are awesome. Have a good day. I'm going to hit the outro button and play the little bit of music, and then I'm going to wait for the service truck to arrive.